Welcome to Conscious Living Collective, transformative journey in consciousness with the community of like-minded people, which is you. My name is Tomek. I'm a scientist, teacher, and transformation coach. In this live session, we blend the latest in scientific research, the deep wisdom of mindfulness, and the art of fulfilled living. As always, this is an invitation for you to have a direct first-hand experience and emerge on the other side with renewed sense of purpose and well-being. Welcome to today's session on Conscious Living Collective. I just want to ask if you can hear me. So 1 or 2 thumbs up will do. I remember last time we were struggling with sound. So I want to make sure that you can hear me. Yes, fantastic. And you could hear the music. Thank you so much. And right here at the start, I want to welcome all of you, and particularly warm welcome to members of my Patreon program that have been gathering for the past, since the beginning of COVID, and coming to Conscious Living Collective to co-creating this space, really helping tremendously to hold the presence and be the space holder for our experience. So hello, Austin. Hello, Parvana. Hello, Anne. Hello, Diane. Did I miss anyone? And all of you who come here on a regular basis. Hello, Carmela, another wonderful member of my Patreon program. Hello, Gwendolyn. Hello, Kelly. Alicia. I'm pronouncing it in a Polish way. Hello, Paul. Good to see you here. Kelly, Karen, Rachel, Giovanna from Phoenix. Please let me know if you're here for the first time. Then I will start with a little housekeeping, so to speak, and how Conscious Living Collective works. So simply raise your hand if you're here for the first time. And that will be fair enough. Even if there's one first timer, let me just make introduction. Conscious Living Collective is all about connection. It's conscious, it's living, and it's collective. 3 components. We talk about consciousness, or in consciousness. We talk about life. We're not talking about abstract things. I want to make sure that we connect in a real space that is helpful and help you create this direct experience. And it is collective experience, not just me talking. It is a discussion. So you're always welcome to contribute. As a matter of fact, I will appreciate your contribution, even though I'm talking and you can communicate with me only through the comment section. It's still very important. Cześć, Alicia. This is a Polish way of saying hello. Very good to see a fellow Pole. Today, a culmination. Oh, okay. I haven't finished with the introduction. I got caught up in the loop. For the first timers, we will have a conversation first to establish the topic that actually I've been linking into over the past 2 sessions, over the past 2 Mondays or Sundays for you. And today it's the third one. It's the kind of culmination of the 3. And then we're going to finish with first-hand experience, which is always a meditative journey. Meditative journey, I almost don't want to call it meditation because it's about connecting with the true self. In the space of Insight Timer, I think this is a term that you can relate to, but I want it to be more than that. It's not just a one-person experience. It's a collective experience. I'll be talking about this in the topic because today's topic is the living the life of meaning. Oh, hello, Seth. Hello, Tosca. Good to see you here. And this is the most important topic out of 3 that we covered in the past 3 weeks because it addresses arguably the most important human need, which is search for meaning. And I will explain why this is it, even though it may sound to you that, meaning is not the most important thing to me. We started 2 weeks ago with establishing that you are always enough. And that session was ultimately about something that is fundamental to meaning, which is recognizing inherent worth as a foundation to all the meaningful exploration. So all your meditation, your work, your relationships are very much dependent on the existence of the inherent worth and recognizing, not existence because it already exists, but for you to recognizing on both level of consciousness and level of intellect that you are worthy. That's why the topic of that session was simple. You are always enough. And I know for a fact that many of us will object because as a matter of fact, we created society in which worth is conditional. It's so-called contingent worth. And we spoke about it during this session. The second session was finding your true north. We are relating in that session to another lead up to today's session, which is finding your compass. We were talking that authentic self equipped with your own compass is another fundamental aspect of you living meaningful life. Because if we're following, as many of us do, by the way, someone else's compass or someone else's needle, well, that's usually where we find ourselves lost. Hello, Susie. Hello, Jackie. Good to see you here. Another regulars. Thank you for being here. And today we arrive at living the life of meaning. And this is something that is very important to me because I am in a continuous process of discovering what the meaning is. And my meaning in this very moment is me communicating and connecting with you. On the level of my heart, as a heartfelt sense, this feels, I do not need to question it. I do not need to ask the question of, is this session meaningful? Because this is a heartfelt sense as opposed to intellectual truth. And this is something I will maybe here at the start discover or unwrap that in spite of a common understanding, meaning is not a destination, but meaning it's a quality of presence. And that's why meaning cannot be derived intellectually or it's not something that you can achieve. Meaning is right here, right now, in the quality of presence that you're experiencing in this very moment. So check in with yourself right here and right now, being part of Conscious Living Collective. What is the quality of your presence right now? Are you here 100%? Or is your mind taking you somewhere else? Maybe you reading something else together with being part of the Conscious Living Collective. And that's going to take away from the meaning of this very moment. Because splitting your attention usually is the reason why we cannot find a purpose, as the social media and everything that surrounds us does these days, steals our attention from discovering the quality of this present moment. And this work would not be possible without mentioning Viktor Frankl, Austrian psychiatrist, neuroscientist, that created a foundation for the topic of meaning. Viktor Frankl was, most of all, is known being a Holocaust survivor. Spent 3 years in few concentration camps, losing his family, losing his friends. And as a result, and this is the very paradoxical thing, as a result, he actually came out of these experiences renewed and created for us principles that allow us to consider on at least on the intellectual level for now, what really meaning is, but ultimately we'll end up with the first-hand experience as Conscious Living Collective is all about. And many of you may be familiar with his seminal book called Man's Search for Meaning, because he spent most of his life helping people through development of logotherapy, helping people to heal, because his approach to life was search for meaning. He actually said, and this is something that in our current life and current, how should I say it, understanding of what's important in life might be counterintuitive. He discovered through his research and his personal experience that, as a matter of fact, pleasure that we treasure so much these days and power that we see all over the place are not the goals and principles that guide us in life. According to Frankl, pleasure and power without meaning leave us with empty and unfulfilled life. And that's why logotherapy focuses on finding meaning and understanding, not even finding meaning. This is another, you cannot find meaning. This is another paradox which I will talk about. But understanding, first of all, what meaning is. And he stated in his book and his research 3 principles that will, I hope, are aligned with the common sense. And first one is, as I said, that everybody searches for meaning. Whether that search is conscious or unconscious, which is the sense at the back of your head that what this is all about. We are inherently designed to connect with the meaning in our lives. That's the first principle. Second principle that he shown, that a meaning is available in every circumstance. Something, once again, that is very counterintuitive considering our current circumstances, because we consider our meaning through only, you can talk about meaning when things are good, meaning it's a result of good life, for instance. He says actually that meaning is available in every circumstance, and he could say it with confidence because his research was based on his experience in concentration camp, observing people that survive concentration camp, which is, well, for lack of better words, one of the harshest circumstances one can find on this planet. The harshest circumstances that we humans created for ourselves. The circumstance of a concentration camp. And he found that even in that environment, or maybe because, and now I'm going to talk about it in a second, that environment, people who had meaning, could find meaning, could connect with the meaning, were able to connect with it, even in such a tremendously unfavorable circumstances. And that leads to his third principle that I will talk about and will try to present to you, is that meaning is not invented. I cannot tell you. I will talk about meaning, but ultimately is something that only you can connect with. And I'm very careful about using the words. I'm not saying you can find a meaning. No, you can connect with the meaning because meaning is already there. It's something that you only can discover, and that the word discovery is very important here because it's an active process. It's a process that requires your attention, i.e. effort. You need to use your mental currency, which is attention, in order to discover meaning for you. And in a sense, the entire Conscious Living Collective, this is important thing to mention, particularly for those of you who are coming here for the first time, who you missed the first 2 sessions. By the way, these sessions are available on my YouTube channel. I simply stream simultaneously these sessions to YouTube. So some of you may rewatch them or access them later. And that process of discovery, it's a fundamental principle of Conscious Living Collective that we are here. In every session, if you look back, 100 sessions back, I always mention this. We are in continuous process of discovery. And important thing is, you are not alone in this. As a matter of fact, I can see the number 60 people right here, right now, joined because we are searching. We in the process of self-discovery. And that process is much easier when we are together. And I will talk about the aspect of togetherness down in the session and how it connects with find or discovering your meaning. So now Frankl continues with his discovery and creates 3 pathways, or not creates 3 pathways, because those pathways are very much common sense, but spells them out. 3 pathways to connect. And again, the word connect or discover, meaning are important rather than find or see that meaning is in your job, in what you achieve in goals. Meaning is not equal to goals and achievements, which is a very important thing to mention. And first pathway was what you give to the world. And this is, once again, very counterintuitive considering our current understanding, because our world, everything that surrounds us, from social media to mass media to news, is that you on your own. That most important thing is to assure your survival and to make sure that you have enough. And if others don't have enough, that's actually not important. So Frankl says something very counterintuitive, that actually discovery of meaning happens through finding out what you can offer to the world. What is your contribution to, right here, make it very practical. What is your contribution to Conscious Living Collective right now? That would be a very practical way of discovering your meaning. For me, for instance, to give you an example, I make an effort, conscious effort in this very moment to connect with you and communicate with you. And this is my meaning. I do not question it. I do not ask myself continuously in my head, is that meaningful? Is that meaningful? Is that meaningful? No, I do it, and I do it with conviction because I am teacher. I am a teacher. And this is where I find meaning in this very moment. And what would be for you, for example, as I already mentioned, was to offer your full presence to not only to me, but most importantly to 64 people from around the world that sit as a group, as a part of Conscious Living Collective. This is your contribution. This is your pathway to meaning. So you see how practical this topic is. Meaning, you cannot find meaning after this session. Maybe a week from now. Maybe when you find a new job or new relationship. Meaning is only in this present moment. And I want to connect that with work of Eckhart Tolle and his famous book, Power of Now. Entire teaching of Eckhart Tolle is in the title. Power of now. The only power you will ever have is in this very moment. Never, it's not in the past, does not lie in the future. It's here. The only contribution that matters is the one that you offering to the world in this very moment, in the form of your presence and full attention. And that's what confirms. It's confirmed in Frank's, or Eckhart Tolle confirms Frank's supposition and the pathway to discovery, the meaning of your life. It is power of now. This is the fundamental, most important teaching that Eckhart Tolle tried to present to us. The second one, and you can relate to that in this very moment, is what we receive. Meaning is also found in the beauty, in love, in the relationships. I'm offering these sessions, this space. I am facilitating this space freely. This is my contribution, and you, a wonderful gift and a fine way to discover your meaning is by fully taking it in. How interesting. Very often we are afraid to receive. I know so many that when it comes to giving, they are very generous. But when it comes to receiving, they think, oh no, giving is the important part. Receiving, no. Do you think this way? Do you feel this way sometimes? That actually giving, and I know that all of you, as you sit, because you are here on Inside Timer, and so many of you I know actually are very comfortable with the part of giving and not so much with the part of receiving. So in this very moment, you receiving my words, receiving the gift of this space that we all together co-create, is a very valid pathway to find a meaning in your life, even though on the level of intellect that may not make sense. Let me just I'm gonna talk about the third pathway, and I'm gonna look back at the comments because I want to conclude that part. And the third pathway, according to Frankl, which again is very counterintuitive, but very important for us to understand, is finding and discovering meaning happens in how we stand in face of suffering. And again, I want you to understand that Frankl based his research on his experience in concentration camps, where suffering, it's a daily occurrence. It's something that it's a part of who we are. He found that your relationship with everyday suffering and creating the new relationship, if you remember our previous two sessions, we are talking about how we deal with anxiety. How you deal with anxiety, how you deal with suffering, it's a fundamental element, fundamental pathway of discovering of who you are and what's the meaning of you. Not because suffering is something that we want to attract, but simply because suffering, as many philosophies say, it's a fundamental experience of our human predicament. And we can deny it, but we cannot stop it from suffering. So, according to Frankl, the way you relate to suffering is where the meaning is. One of the fundamental pathways. Now I want to go back to a couple of comments. Austin, hello Austin. Frankl taught me that this external imprisonment mirrored the internal imprisonment we trust upon ourselves, awe-inspiring. Thank you, Austin. Right? Not an easy teaching. Not something that it's very easy to embrace. but how important? Yeah, Seth agrees. Listen, and I love that book. It reminds me of other famous books, Be Here Now, which became the model by Ram Dass. Ram Dass, another teacher that I would say summarizes his old teaching in power of now, power of presence. Encourage us to dig deep in this very moment. Vashuda, I hope I pronounce your name correctly. No, we are not done with meditation. Thank you, Diane. Oh, thank you. You already thank you for helping me to answer this question. So this is it. These are the three principles and three pathways that Frankl came up with in order to, first of all, show us the importance of meaning in our life, and then show three practical ways of discovering meaning and showing us, and something that I personally remember from past two sessions, because when I prepare and look at the research around this, the philosophy, both the research, the science, what comes from wisdom traditions and what comes philosophies, this is maybe the most powerful statement for me, that even though on some level I have to admit pleasure is important to me, and I know having some control over my life seems so important, I never thought that meaning, as Frank stated, is ultimately and the foundation of everything. And by the way, that cannot be, to coming back to the past two sessions, that cannot be achieved if the sense of self-worth is dependent on external circumstances. If we think that fame, achievement, popularity, external identification is the foundation of your self-worth, then that's where we start. That's the first stage before we start looking at meaning, because then the meaning becomes another achievement trap. And this is achievement trap is a very interesting topic, clearly pointed out by Frankl and other researchers that have shown that in the world where achievement, metrics, numbers, grades became so important, the search for meaning can be eluded, can be very eluding, leading us to that meaning is another achievement. And this is something I want to dispel today, because the meaning exists in this very moment for all of us, for you individually and us as a collective. And it's not the matter of getting there. It's a matter of connecting with it in this very moment. So, next important aspect of meaning that is very practical for someone who asks, all right, how can I discover meaning in this very moment? And research shows very clearly that meaning is generated through engagement. You see, I avoid the word using find meaning. Meaning is generated through the quality of your presence and your engagement with this very moment, with the power of now, referring once again to Eckhart Tolle. For me, it means how much of myself, my mind, my intellect, my body, my spirit, if you will, I involve in this present moment, connecting with you. That engagement that I have with you from around the world is the fundamental aspect of meaning, in the equation of meaning, in the discovery of meaning. If my engagement in this very moment would be, well, I start thinking about what am I going to do after, or what happened in the past, you could immediately feel that. You have the heartfelt sense of me that I'm not here with you. So my only job, quote unquote, in this moment is to fully and completely engage with the topic, with you, and all the levels. And this is something I want to pass on to you. That's something I want to convey, not only in the content, but in how I express myself, how I connect with you. That I am indeed fully engaged with it, with you and with the topic. And another level to add to it, how is that engagement? That engagement is aligned with my values. Remember the topic of finding the true north, finding your intrinsic values. Another important aspect without which discovering meaning is not possible. You have to know what your values are. You have to know what is important to you, not the knowledge that you acquired throughout your upbringing, not something that's being told to you externally by the current world, current state of affairs. Something that you know that is your own. And if then external things are aligned with those values, that's fantastic. That's how we find our jobs, our relationships. That's how I find myself here on Inside Timer. I am not connecting on other platforms that are not aligned with my values, with who I am, because otherwise I'm not on TikTok. I'm not on Instagram, certainly not in the way as I am here with you. I have chosen this transmission because I can engage fully with my inner values. And my inner value that comes across now is that of a teacher. Teacher who creates a connection with you, a group of wonderful people connected through time and space, holding this container. When again, knowledge comes through the words, but far important aspect of it is not the content, but the quality of my presence. So check in with yourself right now and ask yourself honestly, what is the quality of presence that you experience right now for yourself? And that quality of presence that you experience in this very moment, how does it support, in the spirit of Frank's principles, how does it support each and everyone in this session? Is it supportive according to you, very subjectively? Is it supporting all of us? Is it supporting me? Is it supporting the person next to you? Or perhaps your engagement is only partial? This is the question that leads to the heartfelt self's meaning. And thank you, Seth. The space you create is felt space. It's visceral and possesses dimension. Again, Seth, you have the weight with words that I aspire to have. And this is in one sentence, Seth, basically explained what we are after here. What is the what is the meat? What is the heart? What is the core of Conscious Living Collective in our session today about meaning? Soph says, can you expand on the third point, please? I think I did, because that was 9 minutes ago. Jackie, think a lot of not accepting comes from core beliefs until we get older and take our own path. Jackie points out towards very important aspect of that I talk about at length in Finding Your True North. Until we get older, which means that until we mature, we don't have capacity to look within and discover our true values. That happens usually through some traumatic events, right? It happens, you're unhappy for a long period of time, you're depressed, maybe illness happens, and then you're forced, so to speak, mature quicker and look back at what is happening in your life and see, oh, maybe what was all the knowledge, all the thing that I acquired, it wasn't really what was serving me the best. It was not aligned with who I am. Austin, I often toe the line between being fully present and being present while my thoughts are entertaining as circus. It is becoming easier to come back. That is very, thank you, Austin. I want to read that sentence again. I often toe the line between being fully present and being present while my thoughts are entertaining a circus. That is very interesting. Thank you, Austin. So, we already 38 minutes in. So the last thing I want to share with you, because this is very important and it will lead to our meditation, is the paradox of meaning. So I already mentioned that, but I want to highlight this. Meaning cannot be pursued directly. This is something, by the way, that psychiatrist Arvin Yalom calls the self-transcendence paradox. So it's the observation that meaning is a byproduct of engagement with life. Again, I spoke about engagement, rather than something that can be sought for its own sake. So many of you, or some, may say, okay, meaning is important. That's the message I receive. And that's true. So now I'm going to spend the next couple of hours searching for the meaning. This is a trap. When people make meaning itself the goal, when they sit with the question, is my life meaningful? They tend to find the question increasingly unanswerable and the felt sense of meaning increasingly elusive. So this is the paradox. You cannot find meaning by thinking about it. So in translating it into Frankl's terms, he called it hyperintention. It's a phenomenon where direct pursuing something causes it to recede. And meaning, it's a great example of it. What is my meaning? What is my meaning? Where is my meaning? Once again, what creates and generates meaning is engagement. Genuine, wholehearted, values-aligned engagement with whatever is in front of you. So the aspect I want to share with you is what Mihai Csikszentmihalyi, another famous scientist who is known for his discovery of the state of flow, the zone. One of the most meaningful, if you can connect, if you can find right now the times in your life when you felt that you are in the zone, in the state of flow. Mihai Csikszentmihalyi has shown that these are states on the edge when we are engaged and challenged. On that intersection of the two comes the most meaningful experience that people are connected with. And if you have that, it comes to mind immediately because it can be missed. That's where your life makes the more sense and it's the most meaningful. Not when you think about meaning, but when you're in the state of flow. And the intersection of full-hearted engagement, being in the now, having control and power and pleasure, and all of the above being meaningful. This is a culmination, as Mihai Csikszentmihalyi points out. And these can serve us, those flow states, being in the zone, those moments that we remember so vividly, they serve as a reference point to our discovery of meaning. They kind of are beacons. It's like, oh yeah, life made sense, I would say, very colloquial, Oh, I remember that time when life made sense. If you say that sentence, search deeper and bring back that memory, because that was most likely when you were in the zone. That was the state of flow. And Sharon says, when I'm immersed in nature and find meaning in my life, that immersion is the key word. Thank you, Sharon, for bringing that up, because immersion is equivalent when you feel immersed into something, most likely in the zone, and that also indicates that life makes sense that very moment. So you see, we're finding the crumbs in the engagement. And something that brings us to today's practice, Parvane, when I'm creating and achieve my goals. Parvane, I know you to be an artist. And by the way, that zone and state of flow in the artistic space can be translated into words when the art creates itself. That's something that Mihai Csikszentmihalyi reports, how artists experience the flow. The art creates itself. It's not easy. It's engaging. You make an effort, but the effort that is challenging, but at the same time is fulfilling. Do you know what I mean? Bring to mind those moments in your life when you felt it. And that's what makes it meaningful. That's where you didn't need to think about meaning. The life made sense. Your life was meaningful. And something that leads up to our meditation today, and I want to mention that, is the relational dimension of meaning. Because one of the most consistent findings in the meaning research is that meaning is fundamentally relational. It is generated and sustained primarily through our connection with others, not through solitary achievement or private insight. And that's where Conscious Living Collective and our weekly sessions become so important. It's nothing heroic. What I am talking about in our session is nothing new. I did not invent a new knowledge. I did not add anything to the current state of understanding. What I did is not heroic, is mundane. So the mundane meaning, unlike the heroes movies and the Hollywood movies that we watch that present us that we can only find meaning if you save the galaxy or save the earth. When you are Tom Cruise in Mission Impossible, this is very misleading and divert us away from discovering the true meaning of life. And this is another aspect, what I want to mention. It's relational and it's mundane. And mundane can be wonderful. The words like ordinary, mundane, we find them, oh, what's wrong with me? This is the problem of the story that we're telling ourselves. That mundane, that ordinary, it's a bad thing. We aiming for, again, the Hollywood movies, the hero story, fighting for the galaxy, having adventures. That's where life is meaningful. This is the biggest misconception I want to dispel right here, right now. Meaning can be found mostly in, first of all, in the present moment. Second of all, in a relationship that you create right here, right now, with me, with almost 100 people around the world sitting right now in front of the screens. That's where the meaning is discovered. If you are waiting on the level of your mind for some extraordinary event, if you're waiting for the disclosure, if you're waiting for end of the world war, if you're ending for better circumstances, you are missing an opportunity. I am where I need to be in this very moment. That's the statement I'm making, and that's the statement I ask you to consider before we jump into meditation, because meaning is ultimately relational, and you have a chance right now, an opportunity to find for yourself how relating to 100 of us from around the world, even if you don't see their faces, but you know these are people that are aligned with the deeper value, with you, with all of us. That's where the meaning happens. So, and Conscious Living Collective, it's so important, not because it's groundbreaking, because it's mundane, but it's consistent. Every week at the same time, on Sunday or Monday, depends on your time zone, we come and we consider those things in this space, and you are part of it. Sov asks about how do you relate this with the hero's journey. You find it misleading because and maybe it was a minute ago, so it's still valid, Sov. Because hero's journey, the way most of us understand, is someone with a sword killing a monster or a dragon. We consider acts of everyday acts not worthy a hero's journey. Only when you go and you climb Mount Everest, that's what the meaning is. Again, when you save galaxy, when you win a war, when you, find a most beautiful man, a most beautiful woman. That's what we are being taught. That's why the hero's journey is very misleading. Hero journey is the journey of everybody right here, right now, dealing with your challenges to the best of your ability, being full-hearted, engaged with them. That's the hero's journey that leads to discovery of your meaning. Discovery of meaning that paradoxically happens when you no longer ask the question. When things you're in the flow, fully engaged with the present moment, the power of now, as Eckhart Tolle says. So, in that very spirit, I want to invite you to our meditation to see how in this space, it's going to be difficult because most of us, you can't see the people that are gathered right here in front of the screen. You cannot see them. And that's why it's the challenging part. Can you engage not with the faces, but with the quality of consciousness that is presented in a Conscious Living Collective session? And can you connect it on the level that goes beyond the intellect, beyond the mind, but it's heartfelt sense? And the quality of your presence as an engagement will lead you closer to the meaning. And when you're there, you will no longer need to ask that question, you will feel it. And the question itself will become irrelevant. And that's your cue. If you will have more questions at the end of the meditation, because now we're jumping into meditation, by all means, please feel to ask them. But right now, it's time to put, as I promised, all that knowledge, all that discussion into practice and see what's going to happen for all of us in this space. Once again, as I mentioned at the beginning of the session, I will ask Peter Helland to support us on this path with his wonderful music. And we will be once again playing Forest Whisper, his beautiful piece that you can find on Inside Timer, that brings nature and hopefully allows us to feel more immersed in this present moment. And present moment is the only place where you can find meaning. I hope you can hear the music loud and clear. And the music is balanced with the sound of my voice because, like I said, my job in this very moment is to create the most amazing environment for you to discover. We begin this meditation by grounding ourselves in this very moment, recognizing the power of now is in the quality of your engagement with this present moment. See for yourself that you are here and now, ground your feet on the floor in the way that feels supportive. Rest your hands in your lap in the way that feels caring to your physical body, assuring its comfort and ease. And recognize that the effort that you are making right now to assure that you connect with the meaning of this present moment is aligned with the 3 pathways that Viktor Frankl describes in his research, in his book. That is that you offer something right now to the world through the quality of your attention, and that you at the same time receive the attention of all of us that sit here and meditate in this very moment together. And every obstacle that you encounter that feels unpleasant, that may cause suffering, brings you back to the meaning of this moment. And you accept it joyfully. You are willing to overcome any obstacles that come your way in the form of discomfort in your body, pesky thought, an image that is unwelcomed and does not fit the current moment. You simply bring yourself and engage with this present moment as is, full-heartedly, the best of your ability, knowing that by doing so, you not only bringing yourself closer to connecting with the meaning, but also you help others meditating right now in an important way on their own journey, working together collectively. The way I like to discover the quality of this present moment is by connecting my breath with my heart space. So allow me to invite you right now to direct your breath to the center of your chest and connect with the sensation that awaits you there, and see how that feeling, heartfelt sensation changes as you keep breathing in and through your heart, knowing that we all do it together. You are not alone, but united through the space, moving towards a common goal of both giving and receiving as we overcome obstacles of our conditioned mind and our body. So right now, I will leave you to that exploration in your own heart space as I hold the space for you and you hold the space for me. And I will bring you back when the time is up. this time to shift your awareness from the heart space to your senses, using the same quality of presence and power of engagement you use to stay in the heart space, and this time move it to your physical senses that connect you with the physical world, and see the difference when you engage in this way. Firstly, with your field of vision, through your closed eyelids, see the brightness and the darkness, the mix of the two. Through your ears and sense of hearing, engage with the music, with the sound of my voice. Briefly check in with senses of smell and taste. And eventually land on the sense of touch that connects your physical body with the external space, and see for yourself the intensity of that engagement, how deeply your feet are connected with the floor underneath you. Sense your sit bones on the surface upon which you sit. Maybe your lower and upper back, your hands resting in your lap. And express your gratitude for this opportunity to be more of yourself, to be more engaged with life as is, with the present moment. And see if you wish to take it to the minutes, hours, and days ahead of you with the same intensity, the same level of engagement. And now, to conclude, simply say yes and take deep breath in through your nose and exhale through your mouth. And in your own time, open your eyes and welcome back. Thank you for meditating with me. Thank you for engaging with this space, co-creating this space. I must say, for me, it was exhilarating. When we discover that the only place to engage is in the now, it becomes so obvious. It gives the body, on the level of the cells and tissues and organs, it gives it that vital energy that propels us through life from moment to moment. But I'm curious, before we conclude this session, how did it feel for you? What came up in your exploration with your connection with this present moment? Maybe something you wish to share. Parvane, connection to everyone through the heart space was lovely. Indeed, that heart-centered meditation that I used so many times And now, in the context of discovering the meaning of the power of now, of the present moment, it's so significant. Anyone else wish to share? Hello, Anne. Constant source of learning, inspiration, and fellowship. Thank you, Anne. Relational aspect of the meaning. I think, again, I don't ask the question of meaning when I facilitate the sessions of CLC because it's just there. It's like asking yourself, how does the orange feel when you eat it and it tastes delicious? It's not really relevant. You just do it. The intellect, the narrative is no longer as strongly engaged because it takes away from the meaning, so to speak, the narrative. Carmela, peace, relief from anxiety. Thank you, Carmela. I'm very glad. Because indeed, and what I want to relate, Carmela's comment, when we engage with the present moment, on the neurological level, the default mode node network is not engaged. And we know that the default mode network is the part of the network in the brain that strongly relates to the anxious response, is the narrative self. So that makes sense. That's why the anxiety and angst diminishes when we connect in space of conscious living collective in the present moment. This is the reason. Susie, trust in my inner knowing. Jackie, I imagine a big circle of others and seeing petals with messages on the going around. Lovely, calming. Indeed, our imagination is a tool that we can use to connect deeper with life. And that's what Jackie just did. Wonderful. On the topic of anxiety, I really want to mention the course that I recently created based on the very sessions that we had, Healing the Anxious Heart, that indeed relates to our past 3 sessions as well, in a sense that overcoming anxiety and healing anxiety, this is a very important thing, is the byproduct of being in the present moment. Basically disconnecting from the default mode network, the narrative self that continuously works in the background. When you bring it to the forefront, it no longer feels so powerful. That's why you feel the relief. That's the nature of this course, to help you understand, to move through that, through engaging with it directly. By the way, this is the paradoxical part of this course, that it asks you to go through the anxiety rather than avoiding it. So if you haven't checked this out, please do, because it is a collaboration between you and me, in a sense, because I include your responses during the Healing the Anxious Heart CLC session. For Anne, it felt dynamic, peaceful, and connected at the same time. So Anne just described beautifully the sense of flow, or state of flow, that Mihai Csikszentmihalyi talks about in his research. Thank you, Parvane. Parvane says, I love the course. I'm finishing it for the second time. By the way, course is just a 5-minute bite-size sessions. So I want to make sure that you receive bite-size research and neuroscience, so it's not too overwhelming. It's a small bites. We eat slowly. Austin, I allowed myself to float in the ocean, profound and releasing. Amazing. Another wonderful use of imagination. Well, I think it is time to conclude our session of Conscious Living Collective. As always, I want to thank my patrons for being here and holding the space and contributing to the conversation. Thank you I can always count on you. Thank you so much. And I want to thank the regulars that I see your faces all the time. Anne, Jackie, Susie, Gwendolyn, just to name a few. And Tosca. And I look forward to connecting with you again and putting into practice these concepts that, as a scientist, I try to convey to you through my words and through my intellect, but I also hope through my engagement. So thank you for being here. I appreciate you. I appreciate your presence. And have a wonderful day or pleasant night wherever you are. And I look forward to connecting with you next time. I'll leave you with Peter Helland and his Forest Whisper. Until next time.